How's it going, guys? This is Soul Cinched here, and it is Double XL freshman season. About a month ago at this point, Double XL posted on their website all the freshman nominees to be voted on for the 10th spot of the 2023 freshman list. And I've been debating on whether or not I want to make a video predicting freshmen based on that. But I kind of don't want to because a good majority of the artists I just feel kind of indifference towards. So it mainly be, oh yeah, I know of this artist. They're from this area that's blowing up, and he's pretty popping, but I'm not really that into their music. Which I feel like would just be pretty boring. So I might do it, I might not, I don't know. But today I'm here to answer the age old question of, are the Double XL freshman covers getting worse? And I think there's a lot that goes into it, but I figured the best way to go about it would be to look over the last 10 or 12 freshman lists. I'm going to start at 2010 because that's about as far back as my knowledge on hip hop goes. I wasn't really into rap until the 2010, so that's where I'm going to start at. Now, before we get into it, I need to explain how the definition on who qualifies to be a double XL freshman has changed throughout the years. Originally, it was meant as a way to take 10 rappers who were starting to blow up, starting to get some buzz in the industry, and put them on the cover to kind of elevate their career to the next level, saying these 10 rappers who are starting to blow up are going to be the forefront and the face of hip hop who are going to be taking over and carrying hip hop forward. Then it kind of changed where they would pick 10 rappers who recently blew up, who objectively were a bit too big to be on Double XL. And the last few years, they've kind of done a mix of both. They'll have a couple rappers who are objectively too big for Double XL or have been relevant for too long to be considered a freshman. A few rappers that are on the cusp of blowing up. And then a couple like rappers that don't really have any kind of buzz going. They'll always have a couple that are completely underground and don't have that much buzz. And those picks are kind of like Double XL putting stock into hoping that they do blow up within the next year or so. But yeah. Also, there are a couple things to consider on what makes a pick good or bad. What makes a good pick, in my opinion, are if the rapper in question is still relevant or if they've solidified themselves. For example, if a rapper may not be super relevant today or super popular today, but if they had a very successful or memorable career or they've solidified themselves as one of the greats, I would consider them a good pick. And for bad picks, it's pretty simple. If it's a rapper who is not memorable whatsoever or quickly fell off after the freshman list, then they're obviously a bad pick. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Starting off at the 2010 freshman list, this one was pretty good. This one was really good. I mean, we got J. Cole, Nipsey Hussle, Wiz Khalifa, Freddie Gibbs, and Big Sean. Now, we did have a couple duds like OJ the Juice Man. I don't know who Pill is. Not too familiar with J Rock, Fashawn, and Donis. But come on. How you have J. Cole, Nipsey Hussle, Wiz Khalifa, like I said, Freddie Gibbs and Big Sean. That alone makes this career great. This year great. J. Cole alone is enough to make this a great list because J. Cole is honestly a GOAT in my opinion. He's managed to stay relevant for over a decade and had a very successful career and is very highly regarded. Same goes for Nipsey Hussle. Wiz Khalifa, he still pops off here and there, and he was kind of the face of stoner rap in the early 2010s. So yeah, really solid list in my opinion. 2011 was pretty good too. We had Meek Mill, Big Crit, uh, Mac Miller, YG, and Kendrick Lamar. Again, Kendrick Lamar alone makes this list. Meek Mill, you know, I mean, we do also have a couple duds like Lil V and Lil Twist. Yellow Wolf, I'm not too sure about because I do still hear his name pop up occasionally. He's not like super big anymore, but I still hear his name pop up from time to time. So again, another pretty solid list. 2012 was a bit weaker, but still pretty solid. I mean, we have Future, who I consider a GOAT. I'm sorry. Future is one of the GOATs. He's kind of one of the founding fathers of modern day trap. Like, if you were to do a Mount Rushmore of trap artists, you would definitely have to have Future. Because without him, I don't think trap would be where it's at right now. And then we have French Montana, who I think is absolute garbage, but he's still relevant. He's had a very successful career, and yeah, he's maintained relevancy for a decade now. Machine Gun Kelly, another one who, whether you like him or not, he is still very popular. Hobson, who, again, whether you like him or not, he's still popular and is running in his own lane. Now, there are a couple duds like Macklemore. I mean, honestly, I haven't heard a single Macklemore song outside of Thrift Shop, and I always consider Thrift Shop more of a pop song, in my opinion. I never really considered Macklemore a rapper. I always saw him more as a pop artist. And Iggy Azalea, while she is a pretty terrible rapper, you can't deny that she was popular at this time and is the kind of rapper that can be completely irrelevant and then drop a hit song out of nowhere. Like I said, I think she's absolute dog shit, but she's one of the few female rappers on Double XL who really deserve their spot. And I'll get to that more later on. 2013 was a bit of a mid year. I mean, we got Schoolboy Q, who was good, Joey Badass, Logic, Action Bronson, Travis Scott, who's the biggest out of this list, and Chief Keef, who is kind of a legend in the Chicago drill scene. So, yeah, not a bad list, still pretty solid. All these lists so far have been pretty solid. 2014 kind of gets some hate, but it's got some bangers in here. Chance the Rapper, ignoring the big day, Chance the Rapper's had a very successful career. Ty Dolla Sign, Lil Durk. Lil Durk has almost been running the last few years. He did have a pretty quiet stint for a few years, but these last couple of years, Lil Durk has been on. Kevin Gates, Vic Mensa, who yeah, Vic Mensa. He is still relevant, though he's been kind of plagued with controversies and letting those kind of carry his career. So yeah, this list was kind of mid, but we still had a few good bangers, not really bad. Now, 2015, in my opinion, is one of the worst lists. I mean, all we got out of this was Vince Staples. That's basically it. I mean, Fetty Wap ran 2015, but apart from 2015, the only time I've heard this man in any popular song was when he was featured on 6ix9ine song Kiki. At least I think that was a song he was on. But he did a song with 6ix9ine in 2018, and that's like the last time I remember this man being relevant. So yeah, he was a bad pick just because of. I mean, he was kind of a good pick because people still remember his older music and people still revisit some of the stuff he was putting out in 2015. But man did not have a very long career. We also had a whole bunch of rappers that just kind of fell off immediately. Gold Link, K Camp. OG Mako had like one big song and hasn't really done anything since. And Dej Loaf. And this is where the female rapper shenanigans really start. Because back in the day, Double XL would very rarely pick a female rapper. They would only pick them if they deserved it, which, makes sense. That's how it's supposed to be. And let's just be brutally honest here. For every, let's say, 20 male rappers that blow up, there might be one female rapper blow up. And very, even less female rappers that really make a name for themselves and carry much of a career. A lot of female rappers that do blow up nowadays kind of just have like one or two TikTok songs and they fade into irrelevancy. But it's clear that Double XL has started just picking random female rappers just for the sake of representing female rap. Now, granted, female rap is growing and we're seeing more female rappers blowing up and having careers. And as we get to those, I'll explain the ones that I think deserve it as we get along. But yeah, 2015, pretty trash year in my opinion. 2016 is arguably the best class. Almost everyone from this class is still relevant in one way or another. Lil Yachty, Denzel Curry, G Herbo, Lil Uzi Vert, 21 Savage, and Kodak Black. Really, the only ones from this that didn't really make it are Lil Dicky, Anderson .Paak, and Dave East. Now, Dave East, I still hear his name occasionally, and Anderson .Paak, I believe, is still pretty active behind the scenes of the music industry. I might be wrong about that. I know he's not super relevant in terms of his own music, but I think he's still pretty active in the music industry behind the scenes. And Lil Dicky doesn't really put out much music anymore, but he has his own TV show and he's still a relevant figure in terms of like celebrity status. But yeah, 2016, fantastic year. 2017 wasn't that great, but it wasn't terrible either. I mean, we got a Boogie with the Hoodie, uh, Playboy Cardi, PNB Rock, and X. That's about all you need from this list. Amine is kind of on. He's like in that weird like bubble. Cap G was a trash pick. Like Cap G, really? Kamaya, no clue who she is. She's one of the ones I was just picked for the sake of having a female. Kyle had one big song and fell off. Made and Teo, haven't heard much out of him. And Ugly God was a meme rapper who doesn't really put much music out, but his music is still doing good numbers. So I don't know. I guess we just have to wait and see if he manages to put out any more hits. 2018 class. This is a prime example of a class that was good for its time, but aged very poorly. All these picks made sense at the time, but the only one this class still relevant is Trippy Red. Now, Ski Mask and Slum God, I'm willing to excuse because he's had to deal with a lot, like the loss of Juice World, the loss of X, as well as some health problems. So that's really slowed down his career. And I feel like he still does have a solid fan base and still has the potential to make a big comeback if he plays his cards right. But yeah, outside of Trippy Red, everyone else in this list has fallen off. I mean, Smoke Perp can't even sell out a middle school gymnasium. Lil Pump's album couldn't even chart on the Billboard 200. The only source I could find showed his LP2 selling like 2,000 copies first week, but I couldn't really find any official sales numbers. Stefflon Don wasn't really that active. I mean, she wasn't that relevant in 2018, and I have not heard a single thing out of her since. Block Boy JB fell off after the Drake collab. YB and Demeanor's been dropping straight ass cheeks lately. Wi-Fi's funeral has been pretty big in the underground, but has never went mainstream. And Jid is kind of in the same boat. Jid is a really good rapper, but he's not super relevant. He's popular in his own lane, and that's about it. Not to discredit what he's done, because I think he's a very talented rapper. He's just never really fully went mainstream. So yeah, outside of Trippy Red and Ski Mask, this year was pretty trash. 2019 kind of falls into the same boat, but I mean, the baby, despite all the controversies and despite that he's not as big, he is still relevant. He did have a song chart on the Hot 100 recently. Granted, it charted at 92, but that's better than nothing, I guess. Megan Thee Stallion is one of the biggest female rappers, arguably one of the biggest female rappers since Nicki Minaj, so she definitely deserved to be on this list. Corday is holding his own. He's in his own lane. He's doing pretty good. Rico Nasty's in the same boat. She's not as popular, I would say, as she was in 2019. I definitely think she deserved to be on the list because she was hot. And she is still, in her own lane, rocking with her own fan base. She's doing well for herself. Gunna, still popping. Comethazine was popping at this time, but he's like the type of rapper that just doesn't really care about popularity. I mean, my man's is dead quiet outside of music. All he does is drop music and that's it. He's not active on social media, doesn't really promote his stuff. He just kind of puts music out. And while he's not super big, he does have a following and a fan base that really rocks with him. Tierra Whack, I felt like was a pretty good choice at the time, but she's been kind of ice cold since. Lil Mosey had a couple hits after Double XL, but he's fallen off mainly due to controversies. Roddy Rich looked like he was going to be a super huge artist, but he's dropped some pretty mid-tier music and is on the verge of falling into irrelevancy. But I still think because his I can't think of the name, the album with the box on it, because that album was so good and so big, there are still a good bit of people, still checking him out, hoping he can recapture that. Blueface is irrelevant in terms of music, but still relevant as a celebrity, mainly due to all of the controversies surrounding him and his girlfriend. And then YK Osiris. Mans thought he was on American Idol, put out a couple big R&B songs, and then fell off the face of the earth. So yeah, this list is not that great, but still not terrible. I'd say it's okay. 2020 was pretty solid. I mean, Polo G, NLE Choppa, Lil Key, Lil TJ, Jack Harlow, Baby Keem. Like, really, the only ones that didn't really make it out of this list are Chica, which I thought she would have a pretty big career because a lot of people were impressed with her double XL performances, and I think she's really good, a good rapper. She just has not dropped anything. Like, she was on double XL and has not dropped any music since then. Just nothing. She has been ice cold ever since. She did not capitalize off of this. And then freaking Rod Rave is still there. He's like the kind of rapper you don't hear a lot about, but still puts up good numbers. Mulatto has surprisingly elevated her career. I didn't see her doing much, but she has surprisingly elevated her career. 24K Golden is kind of falling off, but he's whatever, in my opinion. He's just kind of there. And then Cowboy. Cowboy is like the only one from this list who really didn't make it. So yeah, pretty solid list. 2020 was pretty solid. Now I feel like 2021 is a bit overhated, because a good chunk of the rappers from this list just should not have been on it. I mean, Ian Dior was should have been on like 2019 or 2020 because he was starting to lose popularity when he appeared on the 2021 list, and I have not heard anything out of him since then. Most of these rappers haven't done much since Double XL. DDG, Moray, Blast, Flo Milli, Tootsie. None of these have really done much since Double XL, so this year was pretty weak. And they picked some whack ass rappers for this. This is where, like, this was like the peak of picking random female rappers. Lakia, I think she's a good rapper, but she did not deserve to be on this list because she just wasn't popping. At the time she was on the list, her biggest music video had like 500,000 views. Chloe Leray and Flo Milli definitely deserved it, and I mean, out of this list, Chloe Leray is arguably the biggest rapper out of this entire freshman class, which should really speak on how quiet these guys have been since 21. Flo Milli was popular and deserved to make the list at the time, but she hasn't really done a whole lot since then. And fucking Ruby Rose. Fucking Ruby Rose. No one even knew she was a rapper. Everyone knew her as this Instagram thought that just caused drama in the hip hop community. No one even knew she made music. Like Ruby Rose is arguably the worst double XL pick of all time. And 42 Doug, he's still like kind of there, but not really. Blast was pretty quiet when he was on Double XL and hadn't done much since. So yeah, this 2021 list was pretty garbage. 2022, oh, and by the way, Pooh Shiesty would have been pretty big, but he's in prison right now, so that's kind of killed his career. 2022, um, this list, it's the newest list, so it's still pretty young, but it's not looking too good. Cochise has the potential and was is arguably a little bit smaller than when he was on this list, but I feel like he could still, do some stuff. Babytron was the smallest rapper numbers wise to make this list, but he has the biggest following and the most cult like fan base, and I can see Babytron getting really big in the near future. Saucy Santana was just kind of picked for LGBT representation. He had a couple hot songs. I think he's a good rapper, but I don't really think he deserved to be on the list. And he's another one that kind of fits into the Ruby Rose category of being known more as a celebrity because he was on Love and Hip Hop Miami and he was City Girls makeup artist. But he did have a couple like songs that kind of popped off and is like doing decently, but not that great. But I don't really see him being like a super big chart topping artist. Saucy Santana is like too niche, in my opinion, to really have like big superstar status. Babyface Ray, haven't heard much out of him. all three of the female freshmen on this leaders list did not really deserve to make it. Kin the Man, she's a good rapper, but I had no clue who she was before the list. So Fago looked to be very promising, but he has fallen off quickly. Big Scar has unfortunately passed away, but um, he didn't really have time to flesh out. Big 30 is a pretty good choice. He's one of the bigger Memphis rappers out there. I really like his music. He's doing good for himself. Casey was super unknown, super underground. I think he's has potential, but he hasn't done much since. Dochi, trash. Didn't know who she was before Double XL. She hasn't really elevated her career, and I think her music is not that good. Callie wasn't that big musically, but I had heard her name before. When I saw the list, I'm like, Callie. That name does sound vaguely familiar. And then Nardo Wick. And Nardo Wick is kind of like the superstar of this year's freshman list. He's probably going to be one of the biggest ones. If I could pick two rappers that are really going to make it from this list, it would be Babytron and Nardo Wick. And then maybe Cochise. But yeah, 2022 was pretty mid. So they have declined throughout the years. But I think for the most part, a lot of these lists are a little overhated. Um, and I think it's just due to like the climate of how rap music is now. You're seeing less and less rappers blowing up and really sticking and having a successful career. You're seeing so many rappers now blow up and fall off within the same year. So I think it just makes it a lot harder for Double XL to pick freshmen because you don't know who's truly going to stick and who's just going to fade out after a year or two. And when you have a lot of rappers who blew up years ago who are still relevant, it just makes it even harder to find new rappers. And right now, the way it's going, you're seeing a lot more underground rappers doing good and being successful as compared to rappers fully going mainstream. So, yeah, we will just have to wait and see how the 2023 list looks. Like I said, I might do a prediction. I plan on trying to do a couple more videos regarding Double XL freshmen before the list comes out. I don't know if we're able to get to them or not, but yeah, that pretty much wraps this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.